Welcome back to another update on the anxiety diaries. And in these diaries, I'm trying to discover what are the right meds for me, for someone who is struggling with anxiety. For you who might not know me, I am Laura and I have been dealing with anxiety for most of my life. I've tried everything you can imagine, from doing yoga for hours and meditating, from cutting out coffee for a month, which is a big deal for me. I've tried a lot of things, and of course I've tried therapy. And the thing even is, I am a psychologist myself, so I know a lot about anxiety and I know a lot about what you can do about it, with what causes it. And I also know that sometimes therapy alone isn't enough. So a year and a half ago, I made the decision of trying medication for the first time. This was a really scary step for me because it is something you put into your body and you don't really know how you're going to react. And I've read all these horrible stories online, but I still wanted to try it for myself. So a year and a half ago, I started with my first medication, and that one is called Lexapro. And Lexapro is a kind of medication that is prescribed quite commonly for people who deal with anxiety and who deal with social anxiety. That is the type of anxiety I deal with. For me, it started with like normal anxiety, kind of. I've always been a kind of an anxious person, and that anxiety turned into social anxiety because I was always afraid that people saw that I was feeling anxious. So it kind of developed into this social anxiety, and it really stopped me in everything that I wanted to do. I really pushed myself into doing all of those things, but it was just with this really big effort every day. And of course I really tried to hide it also for a lot of people. So I think that also not a lot of people knew that I was struggling with social anxiety because I was doing my best to hide this from everyone. But it cost me so much that I made the decision to switch to Lexapro. So that is the first type of medication that I took. And Lexapro for me was a type of medication that worked super fast, and that made me really happy because I noticed that a lot of the anxiety was gone, a lot of the social anxiety was gone, and after a while it even, I think, was completely gone, also the social anxiety, which was just a weird thing to realize. But with these upsides also came some downsides, and I also discussed this in one of my previous videos. And that is that with Lexapro, it kind of blunted all of the feelings that I had. And of course not 100%, but a lot of it. So that wasn't a really fun experience because things that would excite me before didn't really excite me. And I noticed that my libido was really lower, so that wasn't really fun as well. And I also realized that my appetite was a lot bigger than before. I just noticed that I could eat a lot more than I did before. Before I felt full. And I did gain some weight, not like crazy amounts of weight. I think I gained around, maybe 3 kilograms. Not too crazy, but I was afraid that that kind of trend would continue. So I wanted to try something else. So I researched different types of medication. What I stumbled on was Wellbutrin. And I think Wellbutrin is the brand name because it's also called Bupropion. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly. This is also a kind of medication that they sometimes prescribe for anxiety, but it is not a first choice type of medication, how they say it. Wellbutrin is more oftenly prescribed for people who want to stop smoking or who want to lose weight because it can reduce cravings, for example. It is also used in general as an antidepressant, but it isn't like a first choice for people who have anxiety. But I've read it can also treat anxiety. And the thing that triggered me, or the thing that I thought was interesting, was that Wellbutrin doesn't work on the serotonin, but it works on the dopamine and the noradrenaline. Serotonin is kind of known in general for the side effects that I just mentioned before that I really didn't like. So I thought, okay, this is an antidepressant or something that is also prescribed for anxiety that works on a different kind of neurotransmitter, so on dopamine and noradrenaline. So maybe this could be something for me. So about 4 months ago, I made the switch from Lexapro to Wellbutrin. And to already tell you how it went, it didn't go so well. The switch was also quite fast, I have to say. So what I did, or what the psychiatrist told me to do, was that because I made the switch from one medication to another, is that the tapering phase didn't have to be that long. So I was on 10 milligrams of Lexapro and I tapered off for only 1 week to 5. So 1 week of 5 milligrams of Lexapro, and then the following week I already started with the Wellbutrin and completely stopped with the Lexapro. So there was quite a sudden change, I think. I think the transition went kind of fine. It didn't have like crazy side effects that I sometimes read. But looking back, I think feeling a lot of anxiety during that period was the side effect that I had. So the tapering off and then starting new medication again in a really short period of time. That period was really rough. After a week or 3, I thought, okay, the anxiety became a little bit less, but not really. While before with Lexapro, I really noticed the positive effects within the first 2 weeks. So it was a tough period for me because I noticed that, all my anxiety symptoms just came back and maybe even became worse than before, but I don't really know that. It's really hard to make that comparison of feeling that type of anxiety and compare it with the anxiety I felt before starting Lexapro even. It's kind of impossible to compare. Things I noticed again was that my social anxiety came back again because my regular anxiety came back. I noticed hyperventilating, not seeing clearly, sweaty hands again, being nervous of meeting people, being nervous at my job. And with the hyperventilating, it wasn't really like panicky hyperventilating, but the chronically variant. And when I did that for a longer amount of time, I noticed that I get like this tingling sensation in my face and only like the left side. It's really weird, I don't know why. But then it kind of went to my ear, this feeling, and then my neck, and then my arm, and then even my leg, and only the left side of the body. But that was always a sign for me that my anxiety was really high. And that feeling came back almost every day. I also had these heart palpitations. It wasn't nice at all. What I did wanted to do was that I wanted to give it a fair try. What I did is that I waited until week 6 to make a decision. And week 6 still nothing really changed. So then I decided that I wanted to switch it up again. I went back on my computer again and I researched a lot of things, and I also got even some advice of you guys of positive experiences with medication, so I really appreciated that. This time I wanted to try Sertraline. Sertraline is also known as Zoloft now. The Sertraline is again an SSRI, just like the Lexapro, so it works on the serotonin. And what I think is that I really need a type of medication that works on my serotonin instead of working on dopamine and noradrenaline like the Wellbutrin does. So Sertraline was something for me that I wanted to try and see what it does for me. So far I've been on 50 milligrams of Sertraline for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe now even. And what I notice is that again, I do notice these positive effects that I also noticed with Lexapro. Lexapro, that my anxiety again is lower and my social anxiety is also lower. I don't have these tingling sensations in my face again, not that kind of hyperventilating. I do notice that not everything is gone, so I'm doubting a little bit if I should go a step higher, if I should go to 75 or maybe 100 milligrams. And my psychiatrist said that 50 really was the lowest dose and that I can start on 50 and then within a week I could up it to 100. But I also told him that I wanted to try to stay on the lowest dose as possible for a while and to see what it does, because I want to find that right balance between not feeling that much anxiety and feeling like myself and feeling, confident in general, and not having to blunt every emotion there is, because that's what Lexapro did for me on the 10 milligrams. And I didn't really like that. And the thought also is that with the 50 milligrams is that the side effects in general may be a little bit lower. So that is where I'm at right now. I'm at the 50 milligrams of Sertraline now for 4 weeks, and it is going quite good, so I'm happy about that. The downsides now with the Sertraline, it is an SSRI again. So it kind of has the same side effects nonetheless as Lexapro, but of course it is a different type of medication. That's why I wanted to try this one instead of Lexapro. I do notice again that my libido is a little bit lower. I'm a little bit more hungry. It is kind of a fear of myself that I will gain a lot of weight while on this medication. That's just something that I really don't want. But I have to look at that fairly and keep in mind all the different factors that could play a role in me feeling more hungry than just the medication. So far, my update again on the anxiety journey. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or anything you want to share down in the comment section, I would really appreciate it. I hope I'll see you in the next one.